If you play the drums, chances are that you'll run into some people who don't appreciate the volume of your playing sooner or later. When you're playing an instrument that can reach the same volume as a jet plane during takeoff, that shouldn't come as a surprise. Unfortunately, the question, "Could you play softer please?" doesn't have a simple yes or no answer. Of course you can play softer, but that changes the sound of your drums and the playing feel. During practice, you can often get away with a less than perfect sound, but not when you're playing a gig. That's especially true if high volume and a powerful sound are part of your band's style. In this workshop, we'll show you how to stay on good terms with your neighbors and control your volume in acoustically challenging live situations. It's one of the supreme disciplines of playing the drums, playing quietly while sounding and grooving just as good. It requires a lot of control, discipline and practice. If you've already mastered them, you may skip the following tips for live playing, or keep them in mind as additional options. If you don't already use them, you should consider switching to lighter and maybe shorter drumsticks. They make it much easier to play quietly. It also helps to hold the sticks more towards the middle. A soft bass drum beater can also help to reduce the volume. You can reduce the volume even further by using rods and a fluffy fur-covered beater. However, you'll get less rebound and attack out of your drums. Smaller shells and thinner, drier cymbals help to reduce the volume further. They have a quicker decay and leave plenty of room for the other instruments. In our case, we are exchanging the 22-inch bass drum and 13 and 16-inch toms for a set with an 18-inch bass drum and 12 and 14-inch toms. We're also using thinner 13-inch hi-hats and drier ride and crash cymbals in place of the louder cymbal set. Using a wooden snare instead of a metal one can also help to keep the volume down. In addition, you can dampen the drums and cymbals even more using special dampers or tape. If it works in the style of music that you're playing, a lower tuning and drier sound for the snare can produce a softer overall sound. You can achieve this by placing a drum head upside down on the snare, or, more elegantly and expensively, with the big fat snare drum topper. Let's listen to all of our suggestions for live playing and compare how they sound. When you're practicing at home, you can resort to more drastic measures to reduce the volume of your drum set. Placing practice pads on your drums and cymbals is a simple and quick method. They greatly reduce the volume and also the rebound. Your drums and cymbals will sound completely different, but it's very effective for uninhibited practicing. These are Thinwood pads, but they're available from other brands as well. If you're putting together a set that you'll only be using for practice and are prepared to put in a little more effort, you can put mesh heads on your drums, such as Remo silent strokes. They're made from a special kind of fabric which moves very little air and produces very little sound. The playing feel is quite similar to regular drum heads, but as they're a bit softer, the sticks will bounce more, sort of like a trampoline. You can combine them with perforated cymbals from various cymbal makers. We are using the Still Series cymbal set by Millenium. The black hole pads by RTom are a cross between practice pads and mesh heads. They consist of a fabric head mounted in a rubber ring. For the toms and snare drum, simply pull them over the hoop of the drum. Mounting them on the bass drum is a bit more complicated. Here we've combined them with a set of perforated Istanbul Mehmet X-ray silent cymbals. It goes without saying that this luxury setup is quite a bit more expensive. Let's listen to all of our tips for quiet practicing and compare them directly. If you don't need to sound like John Bonham of Led Zeppelin all the time, there are numerous ways to reduce the volume of your playing to an acceptable level. All of them come with their specific drawbacks, but your neighbors and your audience will thank you. These are just a few suggestions. There are many products by other brands, which may work just as well as the ones we've covered. If you'd like to share your own tips and experiences, please do so in the comments.